Right, cool. Hello, everyone. For today's week in review, I'll be moderating. I'm Tom. I'm the last man standing in the editorial team since most of our people are like in at consensus in Austin right now. So yeah, it's gonna be me and Anton and Anthony and Nivesh taking care of this session. So for today, for this week, we had like some we had some pretty important news in terms of crypto regulations in the states. So wait, sorry, give me a second. I need to do this right. So yeah, like Senators Loomis and Gillibrand introduced a bill in the United States Senate yesterday. Not yesterday, this week. Uh, it's a pretty big bill. A lot of people are talking about it. It's the first time that we can maybe like get some. It's an important bill for the crypto industry in the United States, because it's the first time that there's like a general, like comprehensive, like bill that's being introduced, like for lawmakers to like debate and digest and amend and everything like that. And the bill is like pretty crypto friendly. So in general, like people have reacted like pretty well to it, like in the crypto space. Among so like the Loomis is from, I think she's from Wyoming, and so the Gillibrand is from New York. So they have, it's like bipartisan, like it's big names. Like Gillibrand like ran for president like in 2020. And so yeah, like part of a lot of the bill like is like quite long. It covers a lot of different things in it covers quite a lot of different things in the crypto space. Like it gives some clarity on the like are tokens like commodities or securities. And mainly it says that tokens are like commodities, and so they should like fall under the jurisdiction of the CFTC instead of the SEC, which people are quite happy about, because the SEC has been very aggressive, very much like um, very anti-crypto. Yeah, it proposes like no capital tax, like no capital gains tax on any payments made in crypto that are like worth least like less than $100. It protects like wallet providers, software developers, miners, and validators from like tax reporting requirements that like normally like only crypto brokers would like have to do, like crypto exchanges. And it even has like some stuff about stable coins. Like it says that banks should be able to like issue them, and also that stable coins should be like 100% backed. So it covers a lot of things. It's a pretty interesting bill. It's crypto friendly. I don't know if we have any Americans in the in the audience, but like this is quite like an important development, because the crypto space has been like evolving in like some kind of like regulatory like fog, like gray area, like for like years, especially in the US. It's had contradictory information about what was like legal and not legal. So some clarity and some debate, some official debate in the Senate is really welcomed. Um, uh, and it's very important because like it goes, like the bill goes quite in a different direction from recent like debates that have been happening in the European Union. Like the EU Parliament like recently like voted to ban like anonymous wallets, so like self-hosted like wallets. It would be quite it would be very good news for like the US to like go a different direction. So yeah. Does anyone have any comments to make about that on the team?
Yeah, let me comment a little bit on that. So, crypto regulations. We've heard about crypto regulations for years, and the reception ranged from denial to hostility, and then to warm reception. Different people, different opinions, also different different countries of residence, right? So people who are outside of US care about some particular things in the regulations and don't care about others. For example, if you are not US citizen, you probably are not that much concerned about capital gains tax. It doesn't affect you too much, probably because, let's say, your government allows you to account your crypto differently, or doesn't even have anything close to real regulation, so you don't have anything to even report, which is also possible. But the point is that crypto regulation in general, any crypto regulation, even if it's a little bit strict, it's a positive thing, because it's too late to choke crypto. The further it goes, the more adoption is growing. The less regulators can do to destroy the industry, and they are also less motivated to do so, because we've seen those debates in the governmental bodies of US, and discussions around the globe. The system is definitely not feeling good about a financial infrastructure growing and developing in parallel to the system, right? But they also are caught in this situation where they kind of have to be friendly towards crypto, otherwise they quote unquote are stopping the innovation from happening, and everybody will leave overseas to do business, right? So they want to harvest taxes, they want business to be located in the domestic, based in the US, and that's why they kind of have to be friendly as well. So they are in this sort of situation where they kind of have to make our lives better. Crypto involved people, because regulation also opens doors for businesses. Like, if you consider what Aave, lending platforms, mature ones like Aave and Compound have been doing lately, you would say that they cannot go and grow without regulation, because without regulation they cannot get access to institutional capital, even though institutions want to get in, they largely still cannot. So only smaller entities can engage to some extent, like family offices and something similar. But when you get more clarity on who can do what, and with what counterparties, and how it can be accounted and reported, these crypto businesses get access to more capital, and this capital is outside of current crypto space, which allows the entire thing to start growing again, and start growing past that threshold of 3 trillion that we reached during this bull market. So I'm very positive about regulations. I understand they can be strict, and they can cause some entities and people issues or headaches with reporting, but there is no other way crypto can evolve. It cannot just stay true to this cypherpunk philosophy that it had from the start. It no longer works. The more users you want to cover, the more friendly and the more integrated you want to become, and crypto regulations help facilitate that. So I think it's a very good development waiting for ETF. Maybe Anthony can add something on ETF, his expectations. What do you think, sir?
In relation to an ETF, I'm not going to claim to know a lot about it, but I would expect that if there were some decent regulations in place, then they're probably a very important step in getting an ETF approved. And I thought your point as well about like institutional investors, like as soon as we get some regulation, it kind of gives it's going to remove risk. It's going to put legal frameworks in place, presumably, that give investors protection. And like once that happens, presumably it means that shareholders in big companies and so on, like that basically they're going to have a safety net allowing their investments to be invested into crypto. So yeah, so I can basically imagine that, yeah, as you're saying, regulation is a good thing overall. It looks like in the current economic environment, yeah, governments are starting to look at crypto and they realise that by regulating it and basically giving it permission, it's a good thing because it can generate tax revenue. It can open up institutional investment, like we just said, and presumably as well that is the sort of environment where the kind of its legal framework and whatever is in place, where it reduces the risks down and makes an ETF more possible. I don't know if there are other things kind of like outside of that would need to be considered. Yeah, I mean that's what I would sort of think of on an ETF front. And like as I'm in the UK as well, like it's good to see that the US is taking a kind of like or trying to take this kind of positive approach as well. I've noticed over here that I think it's within the last couple of months they've started saying that the UK could be like a crypto hub for the world and all the rest of it. So whilst there's lots of countries thinking that at the moment, yeah, it does seem like there's due to the global downturn, any source of tax revenue is a good thing. So yeah, I can imagine that that's going to drive forward kind of like this very positive regulation of the space, which is going to be great for all of us. As long as I think as long as people are happy to comply with the regulations, which I suppose there's going to be some issues surrounding privacy and that sort of stuff. Yeah, that might crop up, especially for like as you're saying, like the people who are more into this kind of like steampunky kind of like the original ideology behind it all. They might have some issues, perhaps. For the rest of us, it looks pretty good. No, I was just thinking about out in India, Nivesh. Like, there's often a lot of discussion about regulations out there, isn't there? And I think, is it the Indian government are not always quite so positive? I'm not sure what the stance is at the moment, or the situation at the moment.
Yeah, like I think since 2018, their stance has been negative, but their actions haven't been. The market has grown here. A lot of exchanges are doing a lot of volumes, and I've mentioned this a lot of time before that I know. Actually, I don't think I know anybody who hasn't heard about it or who doesn't own the app, or like I'm not saying like I'm talking about my friends, my peers, and even people who are like older, like who belong to my, like, let's say my father's generation, and they want to invest in Bitcoin, and it has become very easier now. And I think as far as I know, a lot of people have dipped their hands in it, and unfortunately, it was last year, so they may be sad about it. But as far as the government is concerned, they imposed like very strict track. I wouldn't say strict, but the tax provisions that they have announced this year are very hurting as an investor, because of for two reasons. The rate is very high, around 30%, both for short and long term gains, and the second is, let's say I am taking a loss this year because of the bear market, and I make money after 2 years. then I won't be able to offset my losses for these 2 years. This is because this is what usually happens when you do tax calculations. If you have like if for 2 years you were running at a loss, then and you suddenly turn profitable, then you can tell your the counterpart that this is the situation, but they have not made that provision here. And besides that, coming back to the US bill, um, I'm not sure that it'll be like state converted into a law, but you see, it's a very positive improvement because I think 2 months ago we were talking about a bill that could supposedly ban unhosted wallets. And this week we saw that PayPal has changed their IOU model for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, and people can actually withdraw them now. So I think that that's a huge progress because now I don't think that the governments will be attacking unhosted wallets again. And with this bill, I think it may not. Yeah. So as I said, it may not be. It may not convert into law, and we may not see the effects yet. But the points that Thomas listed, many of the people will start realizing about these points, and I think. The regulatory space, as Anton said, it is evolving slowly, and we should not look at like there are definitely important milestones, but it's not like a simple yes or no or a black and white thing right now, and it's definitely like moving in favor of the industry.
Yeah, I think all those points are like amazing. Like you're very right, and like it's really great that we've got like a major like nation like the US is like the leader in like financial like systems, like financial services, like taking positive steps like and regulatory like clarity, because like a lot of like other major countries like Nivesh said, like India or like Russia, like have like been a lot more ambiguous about it. And so you can probably expect like a lot of smaller countries to like take to follow in like the US steps. Like even as Anthony said, like the UK all of a sudden has become a lot more friendlier towards like crypto in the last few months. So even if we're not like American citizens, it's really good news for everybody. And as Anton said before, like it brings a lot of liquidity to the markets wherever you are. So that's excellent news. Nivesh mentioned like PayPal. That is like another big piece of news for the week. If everyone's okay with it, I'll just move on to that. Yeah, okay, sounds good. Um, so yeah, PayPal has added crypto withdrawals and deposits to its services for US customers so far. So which is pretty big because like up to now you could like buy some crypto on PayPal, but you couldn't do anything with it. Like you could like I think you could like use it to pay merchants in the US, and that was about it. And it's like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash, I think. So you could use it to like pay for stuff, but you couldn't actually like send crypto to your PayPal account, and you couldn't like most importantly like send like crypto from your PayPal account to like an unhosted wallet. So I know from personal experience, like whenever these services are going to be available, not just in the US, but like everywhere in the world, it's going to make access to crypto a lot easier for a lot of people. Like I live in a country where like because of anti-money laundering regulations that are quite strict, it is very hard to connect directly your bank account to a crypto exchange. So, but everyone has PayPal, so it'd be quite easy to like send money to PayPal and then convert it to Bitcoin, and then be able to like, yeah, Bitcoin or Ethereum, and then like once you can like send it to unhosted wallets, you can send it to your MetaMask and just like, you know, trade on Uniswap or do whatever you want. So I thought that was very important news, and it's quite like it's come quite late. Like it's been 2 years since PayPal said they'd like host crypto, they'd allow like hosting a crypto on this service payments. I don't know. I think I think obviously that's really good. That's a really good development for adoption and for like retail access for people all around the world. Does anyone have any other insight into this?
Yeah, I would just like to. Yeah, sorry. I would just like to add that. Yeah. So, like, besides PayPal, like, this is definitely a good thing because it will encourage investments into DeFi and metaverse and gaming, and like it's a very good way. Like as Thomas described, directly if people can deposit into MetaMask, then that's a good thing. But uh, closely associated to this news was Mastercard partnering with a couple of NFT marketplaces to also like starting their payment directly on those places. So I think that the financial services industry is really warming up to crypto, and we have had past instances where they have set up nodes or they have partnered with other software companies for Ethereum like Fireblocks to develop their a platform or to provide these services. But yeah, this week we saw two of them make really good positive uh, like improvements which align with the industry. Like changing PayPal's IOU model is really a big step, because when it happened, this was the first thing that it was when they like started taking supporting Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other assets. This was the biggest drawback, that it's really not your Bitcoin. And yeah, the same goes with Mastercard. Like they have I think that they're really seeing a good NFT adoption, a good demand for this product, and that's why they are going along. And they have also, like, instead of doing it separately, they are partnering with the industry leaders. So both very good steps.
Very well said, and also like the Mastercard announcements. Yeah, like I saw that this morning. I think that's super cool, and and it's quite good to hear some news from Mastercard, because like Visa had been quite like involved in crypto. Like I think it was in 2021 last year. They bought a CryptoPunk and everything like that. So it's cool that I haven't dived yet into the Mastercard like news, but I think they said that they were looking into like making payments like available for you could just pay with your Mastercard card, like with your Mastercard for NFTs and gaming items on like some of the gaming like layer twos. But yeah, like more on like PayPal and accessibility. Like Anton and Anthony, like, do any of you have anything to say on it? Yeah, Anton.
I wouldn't get too excited about what's going on. First, let me traverse back to that CryptoPunk move that Visa pulled from its sleeve. It looked pretty cheesy because CryptoPunk was worth what couple of $100,000, and they got the free ride basically in terms of marketing for a company of Visa size. It's not like buying a CryptoPunk. It's like you going out on weekend. This kind of money. Also,
Know the word cryptocurrency, but they have a lot of people have no idea at all of what that actually means. And people have heard of Bitcoin, yeah, but again, they have no knowledge. But I don't know, I'm kind of more optimistic that people in the banking sector, I suspect, like they're more knowledgeable about it than we realise. But who knows? I don't.
I think the idea of like taking like a having a debt in ETH, for example, like right before the start of a new bull market is absolutely terrifying. Like, can you just imagine, like your debt is like worth like $2,000 when you take it out, and 5 months later it's worth like 14,000 or something. So I hope
I
we'll
didn't
have
think
to
about
see how it works out.
Damn, I'm not starting a bank.
On the other hand, if you manage to time the top, it could be quite profitable. Okay, cool. I guess we can move on unless Nivesh had something to say.
Yep, no, I'm good. I just had a small note that, yeah, I agree with both points that, I agree with the fact that it's a plumbing, it's not really going to break mountains here. But there's one thing that I'm thinking about is PayPal has started doing withdrawals of unhosted wallets, and a lot of underdeveloped countries like El Salvador and South American or African countries, they are looking at legalizing Bitcoin, or I think they have some sort of awareness about it. So I think that remittance is a very positive step that PayPal can lead, and which was one of the first, I think, dreams, or the first thing that Bitcoin started to solve. So maybe this is a positive step towards in the remittance business.
Well said. Well said. All right, cool. So, more crypto-specific news. The Ethereum's Ropstein, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. It's Swedish. Ropstein Testnet merged with its Beacon chain this week, which was a big event for the Ethereum community. So, you guys all know about the merge. Ethereum is going to transition from a proof of work consensus mechanism to a proof of stake consensus mechanism, which is not a small feat by any means. So what they're doing, part of this process is merging some of their test nets first, see if it works out. So that's what they did with Ropstein. Ropstein is one of the oldest test nets we've had. It used to be the only proof of work test net. And generally, I'm not a dev or anything like that, but from what I understand, people seem to think it was doing it was doing a pretty good job at mimicking Ethereum's mainnet behavior. So devs could deploy quite they could see how their apps would their smart contracts would function before deploying them on mainnet. So yeah, Ropstein's Beacon chain was launched at the beginning of June, and the testnet, which is proof of work, merged with a Beacon chain, which is proof of stake, and it was merged successfully. There was no hiccup. There's a big Ethereum dev party where a lot of guitar was played and everything like that. So that's really good news. It gets us closer to the actual Ethereum merge, which has been tentatively scheduled for August, but I don't think it's going to happen then. And Vitalik has talked about it being maybe in September or October. It's not the last. This was not the last thing to do. There's a few things that are going on right now. A difficulty bomb has been set, so Ethereum mining is getting more and more difficult. So the incentive, the idea behind that is to incentivize miners to switch to proof of stake at the right time. But obviously, if the beacon chain is not ready if the mainnet is not ready to merge with the beacon chain yet, then they'll have to push back the difficulty bomb. Another thing is that 2 more testnets will have to be merged before the actual net merge. So yeah, I'm not super on-chain literate. I'm not a dev. I don't fuck around with that. So I don't know if anyone's got more hands-on experience that they can about testnet hands-on experience or any kind of like insights that they can share with the group. Yeah, I thought.
Yeah, the biggest insight about Ethereum testnets is that you cannot get testnet Ethereum easily. when you start to do stuff and like make your own things just for fun, you quickly realize you need to kind of like get the proper stock of all of that test ETH on different networks, because there will be times when you like kind of cannot get it anywhere. So a stock would help. Regarding the merge, I'm old enough on this market to remember when Vitalik was seriously saying about Casper and how it's coming in the like several weeks to like a couple of months, and that didn't happen, and he was pretty confident. So yeah, take it as you wish, but don't probably don't get your expectations too high about what happened on Ropstein. It's great that it worked, but even though Ropstein is the oldest, doesn't necessarily mean it's a complete copy of Ethereum. And also, it's like you are trying to test a very it is in a sense feature breaking update on a large scale, which is very problematic. The approach here, I learned with the time that the approach that they take here and with smart contracts as well is like hardware. So with software, you have this saying, go fast and break things, which helps you to identify issues early on by extensively testing. Any amount of tests, any number of tests cannot help you to escape bugs and hiccups, and I mean hidden hiccups. Like the merge happened, right? The transition happened, but is everything fine yet? Can we be completely sure of that? I'm not sure. In tests that do not 100% protect you, because tests are human, mostly they are human, written by humans. There is one approach that is called fuzzing, when a computer will run your code through a bunch of generated tests, but that also is not like silver bullet, because you don't know whether it's testing for cases that are actually going to occur. So with hardware, it takes a lot of time to make things before you deploy. I think Apple wanted to launch their own chip or some modification of the chip that Intel was producing very early, and that I think the design suggests at that the design actually didn't match the hardware. It was very slim. At the same time, your processor, your chip, was not meant for this kind of casing, and it was getting very hot. People were complaining, and I think that speaks about how difficult it is to properly design and launch hardware. So it took them several generations of MacBooks to finally arrive at this new M1, and this new M1 architecture works as intended in these light and small casings. you don't have much of the temperature issue, and the performance is high. So going back to merge and Ethereum and proof of stake, they want it to happen and we want it to happen, but in my opinion, it's better than that they take as much time as they really need before they are very highly confident in that this merge will happen without any issues. And by issues, I also mean something that might happen after the merge, like let's say several months into the merge. And that's what I think testnets will help with. So, yeah, knowing the history, I'd say that don't get your expectations high. If it happens, then great. I mean, don't get your expectations high, but always think about that the train is going to leave the station very fast if that merge is going to occur on the current schedule, right? So kind of like think about both outcomes and how you position yourself for that. Yeah, it's not guaranteed. Like this Ropstein thing was good and positive, but it doesn't guarantee that the actual merge will happen as expected.
Yeah, very good point. That much better get it like 6 months, get another 6 months delay and for it to work than to get it quite fast and for things to fuck up. But find that interesting, like what you said about it's not necessarily what happens on the day of the merge itself. It could be bugs that we only find out months later. I have not considered that at all. Anthony or Nivesh, how do you guys feel about the either Ropstein or the mergers chances? How are you positioned? What are your thoughts?
I'll just say that, like I said that last week also, merge is not something that I would change my positions on. My position is DCA into certain things that I have planned for, and that doesn't change. And there are many reasons for it, because there is a lot of excitement around merge because it will finally, Ethereum will make a transition from proof of work to proof of stake. But and economically, it wouldn't have an immediate effect, because let's just say that you won't be able to there is a staked Ethereum on Beacon chain. You won't be able to exchange your Ethereum, which is on the mainnet now, to the POS chain just after the merge. It'll take some time, and then there is obviously a lot of hype around the reduction in inflation, and Ethereum finally going into deflationary economics with around 1.5% deflation every year, which people have calculated. So the effect of that would also be felt slowly, if you know. So if let's say that the merge is successful and we have and the train leaves the station and we have a huge rise in price, but you shouldn't just go and buy at that price because you think it'll continue going higher. And the same if the merge get delayed or there is a bug. God forbid it doesn't happen, but yeah. So I would just say that these events are important for the improvement of the protocol. And yeah, as Anton said, that anything can happen, and you should be careful. But I would say that it's not something that you should be this is the thing that's going to change the industry, that's going to change Ethereum, that's going to like outpace everything else, because it's a step. It won't even solve scalability issues, for one, because if you think that going into POS will go into scalability issues, then it's not, because scalability can only be solved by layer twos, which is already there. And if people want to use it, they can use it. But in a bear market, we are not seeing a lot of new users that we were seeing last year, even on the mainnet. So, and the next scalability solution that they have is sharding. So, and that is way into the future, and we have no timelines for it as well. So, yeah, follow this space, and definitely looking forward to it. But I wouldn't say that it's something. Yeah, I wouldn't position myself according to the merge.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, I think I feel pretty much the same as Anton and Navesh actually. Yeah, to me, it's like I see the good in it. I see is that I think it's great that it's going over to proof of stake. I think from an environmental point of view, I think that's one of crypto's. I've said this before as well. It's one of crypto's biggest weaknesses. That it's really easy to bash crypto over the head with environment and energy concerns. So Ethereum being the biggest kind of network and so on, that moving over from proof of work to proof of stake is genuinely good in terms of like the environmental benefits like that it's going to bring about. I think that's really important, and it's also going to remove quite a big kind of like a big attack vector for those that wish to bash the space. But aside from that, yeah, like I see, it's like a big non-event, really. Like it's not something that I find like amazingly interesting. Like I do find it interesting, but I don't get excited about it. So, my big thing with Ethereum is always it's kind of like the whole like it's supposed to be this world computer that as we were referring to earlier on, like people in like developing nations who struggle with wealth and so on. That it's supposed to be this decentralized world computer that provides access to the people that need it the most. But in reality, it's the world's greatest or most expensive piece of performance art in irony, because of course all it's done is just generate like incredible wealth for people elsewhere, and because of transaction fees, people that really need it can't actually really get access to it. So like until those costs of transactions come way down, which I believe is dependent on sharding ultimately, until that happens, like to me it's not hugely interesting. Like I'd rather use a different network. And I know there's issues about decentralization and so on, but yeah, like that's kind of like where I stand with it. That said, in the run up to the merge, I firmly believe the price will pump as hard as it possibly can. I think there's going to be lots and lots of people in the space who will be doing everything they can on Twitter and anywhere that anyone will listen to them to run that price up as high as it will go in this particular environment. Like I don't think we'll be seeing like new all-time highs or anything for Ethereum, but I still think it will put in a really good performance, taking into account the economic context. Like if it does happen later this year, and presumably the world markets are still going to be full of inflation and all the rest of it. So in that setting, it will do what it can, and I'm sure it will be impressive, and I'm sure it will make a lot of people very happy. But I guess that probably once that hype cycle dies down, and we discover that Ethereum basically works the same, and to all intensive purposes, to anybody that's using it, it's on the surface of things, it's the same as it was a couple of days before. I'm sure that hype will die back down, and then the price will probably fall back in line with the rest of the market pretty quickly. So I kind of imagine there's a situation where, you can probably get a decent trade out of it in advance, but you probably don't want to be holding your bags too long after the merge goes through, when everybody comes back down to reality. And in addition to that, I know that we've got the miners will be doing, supposedly, like I've seen some comments from some of the groups that I'm in for mining where they're going to be deploying their full resources to to find every bug and problem that they can and slow that merge down as much as they possibly can as well. So we mustn't forget about those guys. And then we've also got this thing with is it Alameda dumped 50,000 staked ETH into the market a couple of days ago. So there's a suggestion that there's some kind of like problem going on there as well. So I'm not fully up on that story at the moment, but yeah, I think that may possibly have something to do with it. So yeah, that's where I am. I'm kind of like, I acknowledge that things will happen, but personally, I'm pleased about the environmental side of things. But other than that, not hugely excited at this stage just yet.
That's super fair, and like also like yeah, as you said, there's loads of like other actors. It's not just the Ethereum team that's got to like do its like the dev team that's got to do its job. There's loads of outside factors that will have an impact on the success of it. I think we're up today. Didn't have time for questions. I'm sorry. To be completely truthful, I don't know how I would have. I'm not very good at Discord, so I'm not really sure how I would have gotten people up to ask questions. But we'll have to do that next week, anyways. But thanks everyone for listening. Thank you, Anton, Nivesh, and Anthony, for a great discussion. We will have a full team back next week, I believe. Unless something horribly wrong happens. No, of course, we'll have everyone. So, yeah, thanks everyone for listening, and see you next week.
Stay
See you
safe.
next week, guys. Yeah, and well done, Thomas.
Goodbye.
You did a sterling job.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye, Thomas. Bye, guys.